Okay, good morning, folks, and you're very welcome back. I'd like to call now on Dr. Richard Keagan of Enterprise Ireland. And Richard, go on ahead. Yeah. Richard's managing specialist in the areas of lean and world-class business and benchmarking at Enterprise Ireland, and he's also the adjunct assistant professor at the business school in Trinity College, and he's led the DG Enterprise Benchmarking initiative at a European level, the European Forum, European Benchmarking Forum and Network. Over to you, Richard. Thank you.
My mother is delighted that I'm an adjunct assistant professor. As I wrote to some of my buddies when I was appointed, in an email I said, I can't spell adjunct and assistant, so just call me professor. And my wife is amazed. She doesn't understand how it happened, but so be it. It's a pleasure to be with you here this morning. I'm going to be talking about lean. For the purists in the room, I will not be talking about flow. I will not be talking about Yamazumis, Kimishabis, all that sort of good stuff, Yakuten and all the rest of it. I won't be talking about that. I'll be talking about a simple understanding of what lean is about. To me, lean is about doing what we do, quicker, better and cheaper, together. Can we provide our product, our services to our customers faster, better and cheaper? Few of our customers will take whatever we have to give to them whenever we have it. The pressure is on to increase the speed, the pace. The quality, nobody wants to get the quality that they accepted 20 years ago, and nobody wants to think they paid too much for what they're going to get. To deliver that, I only know one way, and it's together. Now, I work for the state, I work for Enterprise Ireland. My job 24 hours a day is Enterprise Ireland. The other things I do are additions. And it seems strange to say, if you don't need your people, let them go. Let them go somewhere else where they can add value to their businesses. But if you need your people, you need them to work with you. You need all to be going together to try to find ways to move forward. I talk about some principles, rules, tools and questions of lean. There's a book called Applied Benchmarking for Competitors, my second last book. My last book was called But Seriously. Never ever write a book about a long distance motorcycle ride and call it But Seriously and then put it on Amazon. You're in very strange company. Don't ask me how I know that. I just do. I share it with you. But my second last book was called Applied Benchmarking for Competitiveness. ABC was the logic. And in that I was talking about tools for world class, for best practice, for lean. And I gave my book to a guy called Roy Coleman. Now Roy is recently retired from Harley Davidson. He was the Vice President of Advanced Manufacturing Systems. Highly, highly capable bloke. I gave him my baby and asked him would he please give me some commentary back in it. I expect him to say it was the most magnificent book on world class and lean he'd ever read. He didn't. He says, it's okay, Rich, but you need principles, rules and tools. I did what every young engineer would do. I said, please, could you explain what you mean by principles, rules and tools? He says, work it out yourself. Now I come from Walkinstown in Dublin, so I had some commentary going on in my head that I was not polite to repeat. I said, Roy, what do you mean principles, rules and tools, having it put through the polite translator? He says, work it out yourself. I said, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Roy, thank you. And as I thought about it, he'd actually challenged me to do some thinking. And I says, yeah, thank you very much. I'm sure we'll find your father if we do enough research, but thank you very much. But the more I thought about it, the more I realised he actually had been very helpful to me. So I began to challenge myself to see what were the principles, rules and tools of lean that I subscribe to. And for me, the principles are not about pull, level, standardised, not about those classic things that we're taught, but they're about the concepts of time, money and effort. How long from when we start something to when it gets finished? How long from first time to create a product to actually getting paid for it? Are we making money, losing money? Are we adding value, losing value? And is it the way we ask our people to do things, is it the most effective and efficient? Or are we actually asking them to do more things than they really should have to do to achieve the result? In other words, do we allow ourselves to continue doing things the same old way we've always done it? But I suppose the most important of those elements is the desire to compete. I went into work in Enterprise Ireland 23 years ago for a 6-month rest. I'm there 23 years later because I get constantly to work with companies and to deal with their issues and to help them be better. I love it. But over that space of time, I've come across some companies who do not want to compete. Thanks very much. The Mercs out the front, the boats in the Shannon, the houses in Spain, all is good. The reality of lean, it's only appropriate where people decide they want to compete. And that's an ongoing theme. In terms of rules, I thought there was particular rules for dealing with people and for dealing with processes. And the foundation for these rules are based on respect and challenge. We must respect our people must respect us. If we talk about the rules themselves, fairness, firmness and consistency. We need to be fair to our people need to be fair to us. Firm, if we know how it should be done, that's how it gets done until we find a better way that it should get done. And consistency, just because you're the blue-eyed boy or the brown-haired girl doesn't mean you get the best biscuit. People need to be treated in a consistent manner. But for processes, and I'm not talking about who knows Plan, Do, Check, Act? I hate it, by the way. This is my version of Plan, Do, Check, Act, because I can never understand Plan, Do, Check, Act. But to me, for improving processes, we must look at them, see them, understand them, think about what we need to do to make a difference, and then do something. If we try to improve a process without looking at it and seeing it, it's very unlikely we're going to understand it. If we don't understand what we're messing with, what we're going to change, and we don't think about how we can make it better, it's unlikely we're going to get a benefit. But we have to then do something to change our processes. So look, see, understand, think and do. We've all seen the big books on total quality management, on business process re-engineering, on lean, on world class, right? We used to have the book that thick on total quality management. We had it, we were delighted, but nobody had actually read it. Any remember that sort of stuff? To me, there's only 5 basic fundamental tools. And the older I get and the more I do this with companies in Ireland and overseas, those 5 fundamental tools are really, really essential. Process and physical mapping, as applicable in the office as on the manufacturing floor. Check sheets and run charts. What's going right or wrong? Is it getting better or getting worse? And based on the foundation of people, of teams. The more we can do together, the better we can do, the more we can achieve. I get asked to visit companies internationally. God forgive me, but the Germans seem to like me at this stage. I don't know why. They haven't got enough medication, obviously. But there's a German company called Rational. They make industrial cookers. Every 2 years they ask me over, and I basically tell them that their baby's an ugly-looking baby. I get thrown out several times, but then they keep asking me to go back again. A couple of years ago, we just done 2 days. It was like the last Spitfire over the Channel in 1942. Every time I looked around, there was 30 Germans on my tail. We've been in every part of the business, incoming inspection, right through administration, design, procurement, manufacturing, service, the whole piece. At the end of it, these 30 Germans had me in a very small, airless room, and they said, Herr Dr. Keagan, we want to ask one thing. And I always think it's polite to speak the local language. What do you want to know, yeah? And they said, how did you always know how to ask the right question? What questions did I ask? And I hadn't heard this until that point in time. I had to ask myself, I'd been there for 2 days, all over the business. What had I asked? And I realised I'd only asked 5 questions. Could you please tell me, what are you doing? How are you doing it? And why in the name of all that's holy are you doing it like that? Now the last, you can imagine why, right? Why are you doing it was the question. But once again, inside the voices in the head, why are you doing it like that? Are about capturing the facts of the process. The last 2 are about making things better. Who is going to improve it and when? 5 very powerful, simple questions. I asked who likes Plan, Do, Check, Act, or who knows Plan, Do, Check, Act. I'd like to put your hands up. I put my hand up as well, but I hate it. I hate it because my hobby is riding a motorcycle long distance. I need to take tablets for this. I ride 1,000 miles in 24 hours for fun. The But Seriously book was 11 days in America doing the same thing, all over America. To do 1,000 miles in 24 hours in Ireland, you have to go round in circles. Hence, I hate Plan, Do, Check, Act, continuous improvement circles. But also from a business perspective, because I came from industry before I went in for the rest, I could never understand why people wanted to go round in circles. So I came up with the idea of a spiral of improvement. No matter where you're starting from, look, see, understand, think brings you to the next level. Look, see, understand, think and do again to the next level. So a spiral of continuous improvement showing progression. As you go higher, your radius gets broader and your height gets higher. A way of describing the different levels of tools that people need to use as they progress on the lean journey. On the bottom here, you'll see it's written in Italian. I'll explain that in a moment. But there's a book called Applied Benchmarking for Competitiveness by a particularly handsome, tall, bald guy called Keagan. The money goes to cancer research. It's an effort to share what the latest thinking is in terms of how to apply the lean in this spiral method. I work for Enterprise Ireland. We're trying to help companies, our client base, to move forward. We have a 3-tier offer to help companies understand lean. If you're an Enterprise Ireland client, please ask. We're dying to help. We want to help. There's also materials to help. We approached the NSAI in 2013 to produce a book called The NSAI Swift Driving Competitiveness Using Lean, to give a national perspective, a national understanding on what lean is for both manufacturing and service companies. I draw your attention to it. Plus also, we produced from my scribblings some little booklets on what is lean and how to apply it. They're available free of charge, either in hard copy or in PDF downloadable versions from those websites, those reference sites. We're trying to spread the understanding. And what are we actually doing? The Irish government has put in place a desire, through the Action Plan for Jobs in 2014 originally and the 2015 concurrently, to drive the capability and the capacity of Irish business, to achieve a step change in manufacturing, to find ways for us to move forward. The EI response, Enterprise Ireland response, was in the Action Plan for Jobs in 2014. In 2015, the IDA have 1.5 million to pilot an initiative to drive transformational change in IDA clients, with IDA clients. Engaging with them, we're sharing our methods, our methodologies with the IDA for IDA clients to be able to look at the possibilities to make a step change in their performance. I've talked about inputs. Well, in actual fact, we have over 600, it's nearly 700 projects at this stage that Enterprise Ireland has supported. External economists did an analysis of our programme, looked at the baby, told us what they came back with, and they found they were achieving a 20% increase in productivity in the companies that applied lean versus those who had not. We've seen significant increase in sales, significant increase in operational performance metrics. We're only supporting a quarter of the cost. So industry itself is paying 75% of the cost to achieve these savings, but the state is trying to help to drive it forward. And significant numbers of people being trained in the programmes. The theme of the conference is the future of manufacturing. 5 weeks ago I was invited down to Rome by Fiat Chrysler. 10 years ago I was invited down to Melfi below Naples. I went into a room of 17 directors of Fiat, Alfa Romeo and Iveco and the chief engineer of Fiat and Keagan. And I was asked to talk about world class with them, and I went in and I said the first thing to them was, in Ireland Fiat stands for Fix It Again Tony. I'm in mafia country, no phone signal, the wife didn't know where I was, as normal the case, and I'm saying to the senior directors of Fiat, Alfa Romeo and Iveco, Fix It Again Tony is what your product stands for. I looked in their eyes, they said that's why we invited you. I said now we can talk. They invited me back 10 years ago to Rome to share where they were explaining how they had saved 75,000 jobs in Italy through the adoption of world-class and lean tools and techniques. They asked me back over. They asked me the night before I was talking to talk about not what I had planned to talk about, but to talk about the future of manufacturing because of my linkages and networks and engagement with companies across the globe. And I said, what am I going to do? And I said, in 1899, a bloke called Lord Kelvin was the head of the patents office, wrote to Queen Victoria, so the story goes, and said, Ma'am, we may close the patents office because everything the people need has already been invented. 1899. He might have been wrong. I don't want to sound like Lord Kelvin, but I believe we now know what it takes to make things. We now know what it takes to design things. We now know what it takes to deliver good service. We know. The world wants to share the knowledge. We know that it's not easy, but we know what needs to be done. And it centres around working together. Getting the hearts, the heads and the hands of our people working together. Getting our people to understand what's necessary. And not just in engineering, but in all the facets of the business. Working together. They asked me, what about the world? And I said, across the world, all businesses are the same. We have a certain amount of resources, a certain amount of people, a certain amount of money, and we're trying to give value to our customers. So depending on how far away you look at it, we're all the same. But we're all different in the amount of people, the types of products, the amount of resources we have, the types of customers we service. In 2014, I worked on lean product development with 2 of Europe's leading companies. I worked on lean purchasing with 11 of Europe's leading SME, Mittelstand type companies. I'm talking about Tetra Pak, I'm talking about Bosch, middle-sized companies. We talked about lean global management team with a guy who's the 75th wealthiest person in the world, a 300-man global or 300-person global management team. How to apply lean into that team development, lean production and lean sales. All the different aspects using the concepts of what we can do to do better. I was presenting this for Fiat. They didn't want me to put up Toyota, but translate major Japanese automaker as Toyota. On tomorrow, 4 o'clock, 4:30 tomorrow morning, I'm on my way to Wales for the 50th time to the engine plant in Wales, the Toyota plant in Wales. Once again with a group of Irish managers going over, this time lady managers going over, to have a chance to see what the best manufacturers in the world are doing to constantly push themselves and challenge. Last December, on Taoiseach Enda Kenny, December 12 months, visited Motomachi plant in Toyota in Japan, where he got a personal tour by the board director responsible for engine manufacture worldwide in the Toyota production system. There was also 30 other managers who I facilitated from serious managers from Irish industry to see what's going on. We've had over 1,200 Irish people, from pharma, from medical devices, from food, from engineering, from all the different perspectives. IDA and Enterprise Ireland clients mixed together to visit the engine plant to see what's possible. And so I want to just leave with you one word of Japanese that I think is fundamentally important. The difference for the people in the world is this concept of Shinken Shobu. It actually translates into fighting with real swords. It's called being serious. It's called being serious about what you do, about being serious about the challenges that we're facing, and actually deciding, making a decision to say, we know what we need to do, and we're serious about it. Shinken Shobu. My last slide, you'll be delighted to hear this. The future of business is going to be in how well we decide to do it. The future of business in Ireland is how well we decide to do it better than people outside of Ireland. We've got disadvantages, we've got great advantages. How seriously we decide to do it, together. The key aspect is the together piece. You see the efforts we're making to share with not only our own client base, the IDA client base, and even the local enterprise offices. We're engaging in a rollout, a pilot of basic lean. I'll leave you with my last thing. We've all heard of just-in-time, total quality management, business process re-engineering, all that good stuff. You may not have heard of AFR. Absolutely focused and relentless. I cleaned it up for public consumption. Absolutely focused and relentless. We have advantages, we have challenges. We know what we need to do. If we're serious about it and drive an absolutely focused and relentless approach, we have a real opportunity to drive the capability of Irish business. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.